times I get a lot of messages from viewers, from other detailers, asking me what is my opinion of a really fantastic dual action polisher. There's obviously two different types of polishers. There's the rotary, and then there's the dual action, or the DA as we call it within the detailing world. Obviously the rotary, it's been around for a very long time. They're high powered, forced rotation. You know, they can cut vehicles very, very quickly. It takes some skill to be able to finish down very well, but it doesn't mean that you can't finish down with rotary. But a lot of people are apprehensive about using rotaries because there comes a risk of overheating the paint, swelling it, causing holograms. If you hit a burn going too high of a speed, you could burn the paint. So a lot of people are very intimidated by the rotary, so they will kind of go the route of a dual action. And you have anywhere from, you know, the small throw, which is like the 8mm, 9mm, then you have a 15mm, then you have a 21mm, and those are your long throw polishers. And obviously, because of the way that they oscillate, they're spinning in two different directions. So they're spinning this way as well as kind of this way. So when you're spinning in two different directions, you run less risk of overheating the paint because you're obviously not sitting on the paint in one flat position. You're kind of giving the paint a little bit of a break. And because you're not overheating it, there's less risk of burning the paint. And they're not as powerful. So even if you were to hit an edge or something like that, you'd have to really just sit on the paint at a very high speed for you to burn through and do damage. Doesn't mean it's not possible. Even when you have something like the backing plate, the hard rubber plastic, I mean, that can burn paint. It's not necessarily always the pad. It could be, you know, the actual machine making contact with the paint as it's oscillating and cause some damage. But when I first started out detailing, I first started out with the MT300 from Meguiar's. I was a huge Meguiar's girl. I started out with all of their detailer series, and the first car that I actually polished was a red Corvette for a customer, and I was ecstatic to be able to have such a beautiful car. But I also, in doing research, learned that Corvettes have harder paint, and so I wanted a system that would be able to cut hard paint quickly. So I started out with the Meguiar's, their Microfiber Polishing series, which is their D300, their D3202, and the D301 system, and I bought all the microfiber pads to go along with it, the MT300. It was kind of a kit that I found online. It was affordable on sale at the moment. I think I actually picked it up on Black Friday. And I was able to do really, really great results with the MT300, that system. The Corvette turned out beautifully. Well, I ended up using it, and over, I think, maybe 6-7 months, ended up having an issue with the trigger. The power just wasn't working. I sent it out. It was under warranty. I sent it to Meguiar's for repair, but in the process, I needed another polisher as kind of a backup. So I picked up the GG6. It's kind of like that tried and true love story. Girl meets polisher, polisher wins over the MT300, girl doesn't go back to the MT300. I still use MT300, don't get me wrong, but I put a 3-inch backing plate on it. I use it for headlights a lot, tighter spaces, things like that. It's still a really great polisher, and for any of you that are looking for a system as a whole, I really enjoyed it. But like I said, I ended up trying out the GG6. This is from Griot's, and this is I'm going to read the specs here for you. 6-inch random orbital. It goes anywhere from, I would say it's about a 900 watt motor. You can see here that it goes anywhere from 2500 to 6800 OPM. What I love about the GG6, first and foremost, I am all about saving dollars. This comes with a lifetime warranty. So that right there made this a very profitable and smart decision for me to make. Because I've already had, this is my third one, I think. I've had issues where, you know, maybe the electrical issues or what do they call it? The brushes wear down, and they've actually just sent me a replacement. So anyways, let's just kind of go through. I'm not the kind of girl that's going to totally take everything apart, geek out about it. I'm going to kind of tell you the basics. Maxshine has a 15mm long throw, and I would say this is heavier than the Maxshine. But I'm going to be completely frank with you. I don't like this. I have the 15mm long throw pro. I actually won this from a detailing group. It's not something that I bought on my own, but I figured, hey, mate's in need. You know, I kind of have the 8mm, 15mm, 21mm long throw. I'm kind of covered. This thing stalls like crazy for me. If I hit any sort of, you know, crevice or angular panel, it will not oscillate. And you can see if it's oscillating by watching your pad. And a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll kind of put a mark on their backing plate. And if you see that mark coming around to the surface, you know that your backing plate is oscillating properly. Well, a lot of my backing plates or my pads, like this one, you can kind of see a little bit of color. You can kind of make sense. But this one stalls like crazy on me. So I do enjoy like the platypus head here. It has an easy on trigger, things like that. A lot of people will say that this is the best beginner polisher. And in fact, what I'm gonna do later on in this video, I'm gonna share with you the GG6, how it performs. I'm gonna share with you, I actually picked up the new G9. So I am a huge fan of griots, obviously. When I saw that they had a new polisher, I thought, yes please, I'm gonna try it out, because if it has the platypus head, like the 15mm long throw from Maxshine, but it has the specs, the power of the GG6, this is a win-win. And for those of you that don't know, the company, Maxshine, Shine Master, whichever one you want to call it, they actually manufacture griots. They have some sort of a deal where griots kind of gets to pick the specs that they want for their polishers, and obviously there's patents and there's things that go along with that. That Maxshine, when they put out their own polishers, they can't exactly duplicate griots, but they pretty much, you know, there's not a whole lot of markets that develop polishers, and Maxshine, Shine Master, whatever that family company is, they are the ones that produce these for griots. So common sense wise, I thought this is a win-win. So you can see here, their new system has a plug that actually clicks in, so that way you don't have cord abuse. You don't have the plug here getting worn and torn and fraying and having electrical issues. So here you have a button, a quick disconnect, and you can hang it and not worry about. And this is interchangeable with all of their new polishers. It has, the new system has vents along the side here to help keep the backing plate cool, and it also has a venting system here to help keep the motor cool. I used this once so far, and personally I was unimpressed. I was actually a little disappointed and sad. I think I might actually be returning it for a refund, because it's performing very similar to the 15mm long throw for me, and I'm really struggling with that because you know, I get that griots maybe, you know, is changing some of the specs, or maybe they changed a manufacturer or distributor, but I don't know, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna polish some sections of this hood, and I want you to kind of see firsthand how these are performing. Obviously you're gonna have to take a little bit of my input on how it is. I wanna show you visually how all three of these polishers perform, because these are the three polishers that are the most recommended from different detailers for beginner detailers. So let's see how they perform and get into it. Alright, so real quick, I just lined them up so you can see a visual difference between the three in size. Obviously this is the smaller of the three, but in a weird way it is the most powerful, in my opinion. I did pay for the upgrade of the 25-foot cord versus the standard length. So if any of you are considering, you know, what features to add on, I highly recommend this. I can get almost, you know, 1.5 times around a vehicle versus, you know, having to deal with an extension cord. But here's the noise volume for the GG6. And what's nice is it does kick out a lot of air on the side, so if it's a hot summer day and you're polishing, it's like air conditioning on your face. Brilliant. Alright, so that was the GG6. Here's the G9. And like I said, this is 100 watts more, I believe. And you have the platypus head here. same. The difference between the two is the on-off switches is more of a trigger versus a toggle. The speed buttons are together, so you could essentially start this and control it with one hand. This is very light compared to this. You need to have two hands. One specifically to kind of turn on, and then from there you would have to adjust your speed. So this was definitely a good upgrade that they made with the G9, but here's the noise on this one. Still kicks out a good bit of air, not a whole lot. The one time that I used it for a vehicle, I did notice that the motor here did get very hot. Not like burning to the touch. Having the vented backing plate definitely helps. So if you're looking at getting a backing plate or a 5-inch one, I definitely would recommend getting the one that specifically comes with the G9, because it's designed to kind of help dispense the heat. You can see they have all the vent holes at the top and also in the middle. Standard ones typically are just going to have these here, and I like the upgrade that they made with the ones along the top, just to keep your pads running cooler so you don't have the damage to the Velcro backing, and you also don't have as much heat going to the surface of the paint. Alright, so let me switch that out, and then we've got our 15mm long throw. So definitely a slower start than the other two. Higher pitched noise, a little bit annoying. I kind of like the lower throaty volume of the G9, and then the GG6, you just kind of get used to it. It's not anything that's abrasive. But I'll be honest, it's not the most pleasant to listen to. Maybe I'm just biased. So anyways, when it comes to wattage, this is 1,000 watts, this is 1,000 watts, and this is 850 watts. So you're going to have, oddly enough, 150 less watts in the GG6, but in my opinion, it performs better than the other two. So, good job, Griot's. I hope you continue to make the GG6 because it works, and honestly, I know the G9 was supposed to be kind of an update to the GG6, but I would just take your easy on toggle switch, the speed controls here, the platypus head, and take everything here and just put it on this. But I'm not the manufacturer, I'm not the designer, but anyways, for those of you that want a side-by-side, volume, vibration, things like that, what I'm going to do is tap it out. I'm going to do 1/3 of this hood here. And I'm going to try to show you, if I put pressure on it, does it stall? If I hit kind of a corner, does it stall? You know, what's the noise? What's the vibration? Things like that. This isn't necessarily going to be, you know, 100% scientific. It's more my opinion, but I want you to be able to see and hear the differences. So we're going to just do this section right here. I started at 3, we're going to go up to 4.5 because I don't need to go super fast. This is softer paint. Now put pressure on it. You can see it's still rotating. So when it comes to vibration, I would say that it definitely has a small amount of vibration. It's not the smoothest, but it's not to the point where your hands are tingly. I've been able to use this for 6-7 hours at a clip, and my hands are fine. You know, obviously your forearms get super strong when you're a detailer, but the only thing that I really am not a huge fan of when it comes to this is just the grip at the top. I just wish that it did have the platypus head, because especially like if my cord, like it did, slips off my shoulder and I need to readjust, you know, it's a little precarious in just being able, but you could see I was putting pressure on the polisher and it was still rotating. So for a small throw polisher, that's fantastic, because that is only action that a lot of people would see within a forced rotation like the flex or rotary. So this is the 6-inch, the red line foam from McKee's 37. I'm actually digging these pads because I like how they go out beyond the actual backing plate and are tapered. I find that that is a lot easier to get like under door handles and just around corners and things. Sidebar. Alright, so let's put out 4. We're going to go over the same section again. Again, I'm only going to do like maybe 1 or 2 passes just because I don't need to have this whole hood completely perfect. So again, start out at speed 3. We're going to go up to around 4.5. And I will say, I like the placement of the speed nozzle, the easy on trigger, a lot better than the G6. Obviously it makes sense because this is where you're holding it, but the fact that the speed control is all the way down here and then the on-off toggle is up here, I do like that change with the G9. It's a lot more user-friendly. Alright, we're going to go up to 4. You can see how the backing plate falls, and when I hit that edge, it really slows down. If I speed up, then that gives me access. So notice, when I was at around speed 4 and you put pressure, it stalls. Obviously you have to speed it up almost to 5.5, close to 6 for it to kind of power through those angles. I will say, very smooth performance. Let you listen to the sound of it. Easy on trigger, easy off. Really, 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 really smooth. Honestly, it's a breeze and a dream to hold. It's all right. So we're gonna do this upper part here because the lower part is dialed in now. All right, so we're gonna do our 4, and I'm gonna try to focus on the ridges and the sides, and I want you to watch the backing plate as it's rotating. Definitely slow, easy on. A lot louder, a lot higher screechy noise than the G9. It's not even rotating. If I lift up, it is. If I put pressure, it's not even rotating. Alright, so for the price of shipping, if you want this, you can have it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm not a fan. So you can see right there, when I made contact with these side panels, it was not spinning at all. When I hit that crevice, that kind of ridge, it was not spinning. I even bumped it up to 5.5. The G9 was able to muscle through those issues and give me the performance that I need. A lot of people would say, you know, you don't need to put a lot of pressure on the device, let the pad do the cut for you. And there is an element of truth to that. But at the same time, you still need to be able, you're not going to be able to, you know, go around an entire vehicle with just your backhand controlling and no pressure on the plate. You're going to have the weight of your hand, and even with just the weight of my hand, it was not performing. So you can see just, you know, by that little demonstration alone, and again, doesn't mean that every single machine is going to perform the way. I don't believe it's user error. Could it be that my particular machine has some sort of defect? Possibly. But I've heard that this is a common issue with the 15mm long throw. Sorry about the background noise, guys. We're getting our yard done and the landscapers are starting to clean up. But anyways, that basically, you know, kind of shows you the 3 polishers that a lot of people recommend for beginners, you know, for a dual action. Which one would I recommend? Obviously the GG6, fantastic, tried and true. It's been around for years. They've kind of been able to perfect the technology behind it. The G9, I've heard that there are some that are having issues with the backing plate getting overheated. And I've also heard some people having issues with the stalling, like I have found. Am I going to return it at this point? Probably not. I actually, after what I saw today, maybe I need to work on my technique a little bit more and fine-tune that. So I'm going to continue to play with it, and I'll be sure to kind of give you guys an update on my opinion after I've used it for a longer period of time. But would I recommend the Maxshine 15mm long throw? This is the Pro? No. I honestly am not a huge fan. I even had the 21mm long throw and had issues with that, had to return it. The only one that I actually really love from Maxshine is their 500, or I think it's the 550 rotary, their mini rotary. It is fantastic. That thing is so lightweight, cuts easily. It gives you the rotary with almost the safety of a dual action because it's not quite as powerful. So Maxshine, I'm not going to say that as a whole their polishers are bad, but in my experience, I've not really found any of their polishers to be as effective as some of the other tools that I have within my arsenal. So anyways, I know this was a little bit of a longer video. I wanted to kind of go into, you know, the feel, the sound, vibrations, things like that. When it comes to smoothness of the 3, the G9 is going to win hands down. When it comes to weight, the G9 is going to win hands down. I just like the ergonomics of it. I like the platypus, you know, kind of holding mount here. I don't know whatever it's called. I call it a platypus duck plate, whatever. But when it comes to power, being able to push through and not stall, so far right now the GG6 is going to take the lead over the G9. But again, you know, there's a lot of features on the G9 that are huge improvements to the GG6. I wish that they could just take all the specs of the GG6, whatever it is that they did to the motor, and put it in here. But I feel like they had to change things a little bit. I hope this helps you make your decision a little bit easier as far as, you know, what upgrades or, you know, features to add on. You can buy separate backing plates that you don't have to buy the specific ones for griots. I know ShineMaster actually makes a backing plate that's very similar to the ones that griots make, considering they make them for them. But, you know, you can buy a Lake County backing plate. You can buy a Meguiar's, a generic one, SPTA, something like that. You don't have to buy a specific one. I just like the ones with the vents on the side because it definitely helps your pads last longer. Obviously, switching them out every panel is going to help as well, but it just keeps the surface of the pad cooler longer. So anyways, I'm going to get cracking on this polish for this vehicle. I just wanted to take a pause and share with you guys, you know, these 3 polishers. I'm actually going to try out the G9, give it another chance, and see, you know, how it performs and how it corrects. Maybe it's just something I got to adjust to. So anyways, you guys have a fantastic day. We'll see you in the next video. If you like it, make sure you give us a thumbs up. I apologize for the background noise or if I was too far away from the microphone. I am, it's a work in progress with the volume, but if you have to, put subtitles on. Sounds good either way. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for future videos coming out. Say hi, Mac. At least say hi to her feet. Here, ready? Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, bye.